Hey guys, this time on TV Reviews, we're going to be looking at Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7. Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 is the final season of the show and has been highly anticipated by Star Wars fans alike, and I've been really looking forward to this season, especially since it was cancelled several years ago and finally is coming back so that it can have the satisfying conclusion that the show deserves. And so I've been looking forward to this season to see what they would do, how they would conclude this story, and I left this season pretty satisfied, but there was a lot to be desired with this final season, and I think you get that when you have a show that has reached its final conclusion. You want that season to be as good as it possibly can be, and there are some great moments in Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7, and there's some alright stuff that is standard for the Clone Wars show overall. Now, if you guys know and have seen my review of The Clone Wars, which I did last year for my Year of Star Wars reviews, you guys will know that I'm not the biggest fan of The Clone Wars. I mean, I really like it. There's some great stories in that show. I like the depth of the characters. I like some of the stories. But overall, I'm just a casual fan with it. It's not something that I'm going to watch over and over. It's not my favorite Star Wars thing ever. I much prefer the Tartakovsky 2D animated show, which has less character development, but did such a satisfying job of bridging the gap between episode 2 and 3, but that's that show and this is this show. And so what did I think of this show? I thought this was a really good series finale, but has some missteps along the way that is typical of final seasons in a show that is very anticipated. You're not always going to be completely satisfied, but I can say the ending of this season was wholly satisfying. It was shocking, it was revealing, and it was a wonderful way to end this show. Now, to get to that, we have to get through about 8 episodes of some pretty good Star Wars The Clone Wars fare. I thought the first arc of the show was pretty solid with some great action, some great character beats, and the middle of this season has been really condemned by a lot of the Star Wars community as being just not that good. And I completely disagree. I really like some of the stuff that happened with Trace and Ahsoka, but the final 4 episodes is really where this season shines in particular. And also, I want to delve more into that little bit because I have some criticisms with some people that have been criticizing this portion of the show. But I do think that what really sold this season for me and made it more interesting than a lot of the other seasons of the Clone Wars, which I do really like other episodes of the Clone Wars. I mean, I'm not here to bash the Clone Wars. I do really like this show, and I love the character arcs that happen in a lot of this series. However, I think that this season is the best structured of any of the seasons of the Clone Wars. You usually have your story arcs and everything, and your one-offs and everything, but there's never like a full season that is devoted to one particular thing. This season, though, really has a theme and is the most cinematic of the seasons of the Clone Wars. The first act is dealing with Rex and the clone troopers. You have the second act dealing with Ahsoka, and then you have the third act that deals with bringing them together. And I thought that was really clever. The structuring of this season was really solid, and I thought it was really cool having 4 episodes to an arc, even though sometimes they overstay their welcome a little bit, except for that final 4 episodes, which we'll get to that. But I do want to talk about this story arc with Ahsoka and Trace. People have been bashing this story arc, saying that it's some of the worst that Star Wars The Clone Wars has to offer, and I'm like, it's just basic Star Wars The Clone Wars fare. I mean, I watched this show last year and, enjoyed it and everything. I didn't grow up with the show because I really wasn't interested in it when it came out. And a lot of people that have watched this show that are criticizing this portion in particular grew up watching this show. And I think the problem isn't that these episodes are bad or anything, because they're not. They're far from bad. But I think people are expecting the Clone Wars to grow up with them, and it hasn't. It's still the same Clone Wars that it was when it originally came out. Now, they have done some bigger, darker stories in the past, but it's still just standard Star Wars The Clone Wars episodes. However, I think it gets a lot of flack, and it doesn't deserve it. It's just fine. And same with the first arc of this storyline. I think it's pretty good. It has some great character moments, but everything comes to a head in those final 4 episodes as we get into Order 66, and we start to see things cross over between episode 3 and the Clone Wars, and I think it's really great. The final 4 episodes are some of the best Star Wars The Clone Wars that you will ever see. The lightsaber battles are great. The visuals are beautiful. That moment when Order 66 happens is enthralling, and the music in these final 4 episodes is incredible, and some of the best Star Wars music that I have heard. Ahsoka's journey at the very end is satisfying, heartbreaking, and that's what the final episode of this show really brought. It brought satisfaction while also feeling just sad because it's over and it's such a dour ending to leave off on. But there is hope because we got Star Wars Rebels. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed this season of the Clone Wars. There's some things I don't particularly love. I've never really loved this show, but I think there are some great moments in here for any Star Wars fan. I think people that love the Clone Wars are going to really like this show, really love this season, and especially the final 4 episodes. But for someone like me, it's just pretty good. It gets really, really good near the end, but the rest of it is just standard Star Wars The Clone Wars fare. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be revisiting the Clone Wars as much as I revisit the Tartakovsky Clone Wars or Rebels after this. I love those shows so much more. They don't have the complexities that this show has, but they have some great storylines, some great characters, and overall, I think, are just a more consistent package than what the Clone Wars has. But still, really satisfied with how this show ended. And I've really enjoyed watching the Clone Wars. I mean, I've been bashing on it a little bit, but, I don't want people to think that I don't like the Clone Wars. I do. But it just doesn't get me as emotionally invested as the other films do. But I think this is still some great Star Wars, and so that's really all I've got to say. I'm going to give Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 a 7 out of 10. And guys, just in case you're curious and you don't want to watch my Star Wars The Clone Wars review that I did last year for my year of Star Wars, with this season put into the rest, the show is still a 7 out of 10 for me. Really good, really solid, not great though, but has some great things about it. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great May the 4th, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.